हेलो। तो आप सभी का स्वागत है। वेलकम टू दिस न्यू सेशन वेबिनार आर्ट ऑफ एंजल इन्वेस्टिंग। तो हम बहुत सारी ऐसी कहानियां सुनते हैं कि एक्स इन्वेस्टर ने किसी कंपनी में 10 लाख लगाए थे, पेटीएम में 10 लाख लगाए थे, ओला में 10 लाख लगाए थे। रियली मतलब इवन मैं आईआईटी बॉम्बे से हूँ तो हमारे कॉलेजेस में ये कहानियां हमने बहुत सुनी है कि ऐसा हो जाता है, 10 लाख लगाया उसका 100 करोड़ हो गया, 700 करोड़ हो गया, ऐसी चीजें हो गई। तो एंजल इन्वेस्टिंग जब भी वर्ड आता है ना तो बहुत ही फैसिनेटिंग लगता है कि यार दिस इज समथिंग विच मेरे पास जब इनफ पैसा होगा तो आई वुड लाइक टू डू एटलीस्ट कुछ अच्छी कंपनीज में, प्लस द प्रेस्टीज द कनेक्ट्स दैट कम्स विद इट। बहुत लोगों को इसका मतलब करना है, एंजल इन्वेस्टिंग करनी है, लेकिन जीरो आइडिया रहता है कैसे कंपनीज ढूंढे, कहां से ढूंढे, कितना पैसा लगाएं, कब लगाएं। मेरे पास आज 100 करोड़ रुपए तो मैं शुरू करूं या 10 करोड़ रुपए तो शुरू करूं या 10 लाख से शुरू कर सकता हूं। आगे उसको कितना सपोर्ट देना होता है, एग्जिट प्रोसेस कैसा रहता है। तो बहुत सारी चीजों के बारे में बात कोई हमको डायरेक्ट आइडिया नहीं रहता है। तो मैंने भी एक साइड ऑफ स्टोरीज देखा है। आई हैव रेज्ड सम मनी फॉर माय स्टार्टअप, बट टुडे जो हमारे स्पीकर हैं दो, उन्होंने दोनों साइड की स्टोरीज को बहुत अच्छी तरीके से देखा है। ना सिर्फ उन्होंने पैसा रेस किया है, अपनी कंपनी से एग्जिट किया है, उसके अलावा डजन्स ऑफ कंपनीज में एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट भी किया है। तो मैं उनका इंट्रोडक्शन मैं नहीं दे रहा हूं। आई वुड लाइक टू इनवाइट सीनियर फ्रॉम माय कॉलेज एंड अ वेरी गुड फ्रेंड मोहित सोनी कि उनके दो दोस्तों को आज इस सेशन में इनवाइट करें और उनका इंट्रोडक्शन मोहित ही दे।
हाय एवरीबॉडी। सो मैं जिन दो लोगों को इंट्रोड्यूस करने वाला हूं वो मेरे बैच के वन ऑफ द यंगेस्ट सेल्फ मेड मिलियनियर्स हैं। एंड व्हेन आई एम टॉकिंग मिलियनियर्स, आई एम टॉकिंग डॉलर मिलियनियर्स, नॉट इंडियन मिलियनियर। इंडियन में बात करना है तो दोनों के दोनों करोड़पति, दोनों बहुत अच्छे मित्र हैं। दे आर बोथ वेरी डाउन टू अर्थ, बहुत ही सहमे हुए सुलझे हुए लोग हैं। एंड इन लोगों से कई चीजें हैं जो मैंने भी सीखी हैं और मैं आज आप लोगों को भी इनकरेज करूंगा कि प्लीज आप इनसे सीखिए। इन दोनों ने पहले अपनी खुद की कंपनी चालू करी थी कोक्यूब्स। उसके अलावा इन्होंने वहां पे काफी सारा पैसा रेज किया था, उस कंपनी को काफी सक्सेसफुली रन किया था एंड अल्टीमेटली उस कंपनी को उन्होंने एक बहुत बड़े फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर को सेल आउट भी किया था। एंड एट द सेम टाइम विद दैट कंपनी दे मैनेज टू क्रिएट अ नंबर ऑफ गुड जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर लॉट ऑफ यंगस्टर्स ऑल अक्रॉस द कंट्री। उसके बाद में इन दोनों के दोनों ने आज they are running their own respective startups. They are working together with multiple other startups and they have become angels. Angel investing में आप एक एंजल होते हुए एक जो छोटी सी कंपनी में उस वक्त पैसा डालता है जब और कोई उसमें पैसा नहीं डाल रहा होता। तो both of these individuals, they give money to small startups and then they mentor those startups to become really big. And in the process, they create value and wealth in this country. वो लोगों को अमीर बनाते हैं, अपने एम्प्लॉइज को अमीर बनाते हैं और देश का भला भी कर रहे हैं। तो अब मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा टू इंट्रोड्यूस बोथ विभोरे एंड हरप्रीत सिंह ग्रोवर, और एज वी कॉल हिम आवर डियर हैप्पी सिंह। प्लीज स्टार्ट द प्रोसेस।
वेलकम गाइस।
Hey, thank you, Rishabh. Thank you, Mohit. Both of you are too kind here. And hello to everyone who's watching. I think all of you, we are in different cities, huh? Rishabh and Mohit, you are in the same city. You are both in Jaipur.
Yes.
Yes.
While Vibhore is in Gurgaon and I am in Bombay. Cool.
And one more piece of introduction which we missed. ये book, I guess you can see, they are author of this book. Let's build a company, which is one of the Amazon's best seller. And मैंने पढ़ना शुरू किया है कल से, तो it's a very very good book. इसका लिंक आपको नीचे कमेंट में और डिस्क्रिप्शन में मिल जाएगा. You should read this. मतलब it's a amazing journey of these two guys. कैसे एक मिडिल क्लास बंदा एक मिलियनियर स्टेटस प्राप्त करता है. हमने ये बहुत कहानियां सुनी है, बट it's good to know someone इस तरह से. It's amazing guys.
ये ना ऋषभ सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. I'm saying just the important thing I think here is it just takes 10 years. 10 साल मेहनत करते रहो तो कहीं ना कहीं पहुंच जाओगे. I think that is the summary of it. But if you guys think it is okay, hello, we can say hello to everyone and then we can start talking about angel investing.
Yes. Let's start. Over to you.
Okay, cool. So yeah, there's a screen that I've shared and I hope you can see it. I tried making. Okay, we thought we'll put the lessons that we have learned in a slide, that you can see. Because I want to tell you what our background is, or angel investing में हमने क्या किया है before going down the path of, what is angel investing and, some tips around it. So, we are both, Vibhore and I are entrepreneurs. We built a company called CoCubes over 10 years. We sold it to Aeon Hewitt in 2016. Post that, we got an opportunity to work with Penguin and write a book about our journey. And one reason we wanted to write our book was when we started our company 10 years ago, there was nobody who we could actually look up to, because actually company us time koi start karta hi nahi tha. There were very few venture funds, but now it has become a trend, and we wanted to write a book so that whatever mistakes we made, anybody who's starting a company, hopefully they don't make. Yeah, we are very passionate about helping entrepreneurs succeed. We have been angel investing for the last 7 years, and now the last 2-3 years we've also been LPs in a venture fund. What LPs in a venture fund means? There's angel investing and there is venture capital. Venture capital also takes their money from other individuals, and we have also invested in a venture capital fund there. So straight away jumping to जो मैं आपको बताना चाह रहा था, which is के on angel investments we have done about 34 angel investments so far. Out of these 5 are in the last 4 months. Out of these 34, 6 have shut down, and 20 have raised follow-on VC capital. Which means that we invested in 34 companies, and 20 उसमें से were able to go on and raise, let's say, a few $1 million in VC capital. Yeah. Some of the investments are, Chayo's Shop Kirana. You might have heard of them, might not have heard of them. Chayo's Shop Kirana, Bombay Shaving Company. Some of these names are here. So these are some of the angel investment that we have done. And so now this is the background here. So coming to what actually is an angel investment, it's actually pretty simple, not very different from investing in stocks. You give money, you get equity in the company. This equity, the difference from a stock market is that this equity is unlisted and this can't be traded. Stock, let's say you buy a stock of Britannia, then you can buy and sell every day. But these are shares that you get in a company, and these shares are something that you can't sell tomorrow, unless somebody else wants to buy, because the market is not liquid. Before do jump in here wherever you want to add something. There are 2 ways to invest generally. Whenever a startup comes to take money from you, they can give you money in 2 ways. One is that they can give you money in preferred stock. So what this means is, and the reason to take preferred stock over normal equity is so that if tomorrow the company is sold, entrepreneur doesn't take money before you. First you get money and then the entrepreneur gets money. So, whenever you invest in a startup, you have to ensure that you invest in a preferred stock. The second way some startups do it is through convertible debt. What this means is कि आप मुझे आज उधार दे दो, I will take a debt. Tomorrow when I raise money from somebody else, whatever valuation of the company comes then, we will convert your debt into equity at that point. In all probability with a discount, क्योंकि आपने पहले trust किया था startup पे, because you trusted in advance. Hence, this convertible debt structure can be followed. The reason sometimes you do convertible debt rather than preferred stock is because you don't agree on what should be the valuation of the startup. I have to take a minute and I'll come back. Vibhore, if you can take over on want to be startup.
So guys, general preferred stock, which Harpreet is mentioning, right? The preferred stock is like last in, first out, right? So if whoever comes last will have the higher preference of getting the stock out whenever the sale happen for the shares, right? And convertible debts typically are not preferred because they will end up resulting in a different kind of taxation structure, right? So you have to be very careful about what we are doing. In general, you also write down the discount rate in the convertible debt. So those are more of technical part, right? We can take, people have questions around those.
Yeah. But okay. But I'm saying, Mohit, I saw what you were saying. I just think that the important thing to remember is do preferred stock when you're doing an angel investment, which means ensure that you're going to get your money first as an angel investor back before the entrepreneur earns money. That is the most important thing that you should think about, apart from, let's say, investing in the right startup. Yeah. The key thing that a lot of people ask is, how do I get started? How can I start investing? So there are 3 ways to do it, and this has become simpler than before. One is you find a startup on your own, that you know somebody who's going to start up, they come to you that I want to raise money, and you give them some money, right? This might or might not be possible depending on what your network is. The second thing is you invest with a friend who has been investing, right? So for example, let's say I invest in companies, and I say यार मैं इस कंपनी में पैसा डाल रहा हूँ, and do you want to invest? And you say ठीक है, हरप्रीत अगर डाल रहा है तो ठीक ही होगी कंपनी. You also do some due diligence, and then you say कि okay वो डाल रहा है, मैं भी साथ में पैसा डाल देता हूँ, right? This is the second way. The third is now, and this is a great option, there are existing syndicates on AngelList, Let's Venture, First Check. So these are all platforms, okay? And on these platforms, you can go, you can sign up, and then you can see deals. So for example, when I do a deal, that deal happens through First Check and is always on AngelList. When I do a deal, let's say I tell the startup, I will invest, let's say 50 lakhs, right? Then I may invest 10 lakhs, and then I might put the deal on AngelList, and on AngelList, other people who think Harpreet is a good investor or Vibhore is a good investor will end up investing along with us. So, this is the way syndicates work. And that is a great way to start investing. The thing here is to find somebody whose judgment you trust. Yeah. The key thing you remember here is that giving money is easy. पैसा किसी को देना बहुत आसान है, and getting it back is difficult, more so in case of angel investment, because it is an illiquid asset. So that was about what is angel. A few things about what is the Indian scenery. In the last 10 years, there have been 37 total unicorns in India. There are thousands of deals that have happened, but only $37 billion companies have been made. A unicorn is a $1 billion company. Only $37 billion companies have been made. Then there are certain changes that have happened in the last 10 years. The profile of founders have changed. When we started, just out of college, this was our first startup. There are not many startups who had become big. There were not many unicorns. So, we were a different breed. We had to learn everything on our own. Now, if you see, a lot of startups are started by people who have already started a company, failed, doing another company, or they've worked, let's say, in an Ola, they have worked in a Zomato, and they have seen scale happening. And they have a lot of experience in, understanding, what goes in actually running a startup, which is great, actually. Yeah. So the second thing that has changed is there is availability of capital. When we started 10 years ago, 15 years ago now, actually 13, there were only 5 funds in India. There were almost no angel investors. Now there are hundreds of funds. There are so many angel syndicates, like we were telling you, and there are a lot of individual investors to give money. So, आजकल पैसा मिलना आसान है. And the third thing that has happened is that the average starting valuation has changed. Like inflation happens, this has also changed. So, pehle, typical startup, we raised our first round of funding, I think, at a valuation of 2 crores, Vibhore.
Yeah, 2 crores. 4
Yeah. We raised 4 lakhs at a valuation of 2 crores. Yeah. So the valuations earlier were less than $1 million, but now, even at a starting stage, many valuations are between 10 to 30 crores. Because the founders have more experience, more money is available. The economy has opened up, more people have mobile phones. It is easier to now build a company which will become big. All of those things contribute to it. The thing to also understand here is that jitni mehengi company mein aap invest karoge, the costlier the company at the start, the lesser return you make. Yeah. But the more important point is to find the right company. The one interesting thing that happened is that minimum size has reduced. Earlier I remember, you wanted to invest in a company, you need to have 3, 4, 5 lakhs minimum to start. Now, because there are syndicates, there are syndicates where you can even invest 50,000, 1 lakhs. So that means, with less money, you can start taking some exposure and start learning more about this instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was about what is happening actually outside. Now, over the last 7 years that we've angel invested, over the 10 years that we ran the company, there are certain things we learned, and that why do startups fail and what are the experiments we did. There are, for example, multiple reasons why startups fail. These are some of the main ones. One internal reason is founders don't get along. So, 2 लोग आए, वो दूसरे को भी 2 साल से जानते हैं, they want to do a company together. They said, give us money, we gave them money. And then 2 महीने पता लगा दोनों में आपस में लड़ाई हो गई. They are not able to get along, and hence the startup is no longer working. And they have spent already half the money. The second is there is a skill deficit, which means that the person is unable to, let's say, do sales, or the person is unable to hire people, or the person is unable to build the right product. So, fight mar raha hai, sab kuch kar raha hai, founders are working together, but they don't have the skill to actually build a great product. For example, if you look at Instagram, if you look at all these excellent products, you see that they are actually built right. They work at scale. A lot of things go right. But as you see, a lot of people are unable to do that, and they don't learn as fast as the company needs to be. The third and a big reason we have seen is people give up. Let's say they have worked in a corporate job for 8 years. They think starting up a school, they start a company, but in 1 year they realize that it is very hard. They might not make money for 3, 4, 5 years, and hence they give up. Yeah. So these are internal reasons why it fails, and external reasons that it is possible you invested in a startup, but वो startup का market ही नहीं. Yeah. So you thought this would do well, but actually nobody wants to buy what that startup has made and wants to sell. Yeah. And the other is they are unable to raise funds, which also is kind of lack of skill. But invest in a company, the founders are reasonable, but due to some reason, the company is unable to raise funds. By the way, one such example, and I have that example later also, is an example. Let's say a company comes to you, say, मुझे बच्चों को coding सिखानी है. Now you might think this is required, right? You might think this is a great company to invest in. The founders are good, everything is great, yeah. But the problem there is that a lot of companies in coding have already gotten funded. So all the main investors have taken their positions, right? So now if you invest, it is possible that all the main investors, because they already funded something else, might not fund these guys, even though they are good, but they're late to the party. So, you should invest, then the bar for the founder is very high to create a product which actually can take a leadership position while coming from back. So ये समझना important है. Vibhore, these are some of the reasons there. Actually, any questions you have, feel free to comment, send across. We'll try to answer along with it. And then Vibhore and I also ran an experiment. We thought, we like working with founders, and we will help founders succeed. We sometimes feel that the idea is good, the market is good, the founders are okay, but if you work with them, it can work. We did that thesis. We invested in 3 companies through that, but it never worked. We realized that there are hundreds of decisions that need to be made, and if a founder is of average skill, you can't make all the decisions. So this is not only about the important decisions. These are about lots of small decisions that you need to make every day, and hence the experiment actually failed and we lost that money. So what we realized was we want to back founders who are actually good, and one important criteria that you should see there is here, okay, would I work with this founder? Would I be willing, if this founder came and pitched to me, if this founder came and spoke to me, will I get attracted to work with this founder? The ability to attract people is a good way to know if the founder can run the company. I think that is one good parameter to have. Yeah. Before anything else you might want to add here?
One of the very important part is carefully to be chosen is that not all calls are taken emotionally. Right? I've seen a lot of founders who are very, very passionate about the idea, are in a reasonable market, but most of the time when the hard call is to be taken, right, they don't take the hard call, right? They try to keep delaying it. Like in our previous startup, we would have to let go of good guys at least twice, right, during the period of 10 years. Right, but those calls were supposed to be taken and are required to be taken for the company to survive. If you don't do those calls, then you will end up shutting down the company and everyone gets fired. So it's better to take harder calls, and you have to be very careful about if the guy is ready to make those calls if and when required.
Yeah. So, and these are things that make it difficult to identify a founder who will succeed and make a big company. Right. So, these are some of the things we learned, some of the things we tried. Now coming to some of the tips to invest. If we are investing today, what do we keep in mind? So one is, I think there's a lot of luck involved. I have missed investing in 2, 3 companies who actually have become unicorns, just because they passed by, and they were just like any other company. I didn't pay a lot of attention, and they just passed by. So a lot of luck is still involved. So there are few things. One, don't think that you can help the entrepreneur succeed. The entrepreneur has to succeed on his or her own. You should be able to add value, and you should help wherever the entrepreneur asks. But you should back a founder who you think can run a company on their own and will learn fast. The one common mistake that we have made sometimes is to invest in an idea we like and have a soft corner for. कि यार मुझे अच्छा लगता है कि कोई ऐसा कुछ बनाए, and then along comes the founder who is actually doing that or wants to do that, and the founder might be average, but because you have love for the idea, you invest because you love the idea. But that is not enough. In all probability, you will lose your money because this was an emotional decision to invest. The third thing we learned is to back a relentless founder. Most of the time it takes a lot more time than they imagined, a lot more time that you would have imagined to build this company. Yeah. So it can take a lot more time and a lot more change. उसने शुरू सोचा होगा X, but हो जाएगा Y, फिर Z हो जाएगा. So a founder who keeps on changing, keeps on working, is willing to learn, is willing to change his mind, once decides and goes full hog, a relentless founder, if you can find, that is the guy you should back. Another way is to identify trends before the VCs pick it up. Like for example, आज अगर हम coding for kids की बात करेंगे, then everybody knows about it. But 2 years before now, it was a trend that you could have picked up before the VCs. So if you can identify a trend because of certain experience you have had, because of the company you work in or whatever, then that is a good way to find companies. And the last one, I've already told you that earlier, if there's a lot of investment that has already happened in that sector, then you should be more careful about investing in a company where a lot of investment in other companies have already happened. Because let's say if Sequoia or India Quotient has already invested in a company which does the same thing, then they won't invest in another company which does the same thing. So, we'll have 5 more minutes about it, and then we can take your questions. The one important thing is to be a good angel. What does it mean? It means don't string along people. It is harder to make a choice, मैं invest करूं कि नहीं करूं. But if you keep asking them for data, कि अच्छा और बताओ, चलो देखते हैं क्या होता है, 2-3 महीने खिंच जाएगा, you will not invest finally in all probability, and they will feel bad about you. They will tell other people. So spend some time, take a quick decision, say a yes or a no. Do not keep stringing entrepreneurs along. The second is, help as much as you can without expecting anything. Just help. If you help startups, they will tell other people, and more people will come to you for investment. The few things to keep in mind: angel investment is illiquid. If you put 5 lakhs in a startup which was worth 10 crores and now they are worth 200 crores and they have raised 50 crores, you can think my money is now worth 50 lakhs. Great. But at the same time, it is not in your bank. It will only become real money when actually it comes in your bank, right? So उससे पहले angel investments are illiquid. So keep that in mind, that only put money that you don't need and invest the amount which is painless. It could be if you have 1 crore, then you might want to invest 1 lakhs and not more than that, right? Because 1 lakh डूब गया तो problem नहीं होगी, 10 lakh डाल दिया वो डूब गया तो problem हो सकती है. Yeah. The third thing to remember is you get diluted as company raises more money. So if you invested in a company at a valuation of 10 crores and you got, let's say, 1% of the company, and then the company raises more money, your percentage will keep going down in the company, right? So that means that, sometimes people think कि मैंने 1% है, कल को company $1 billion की बिकी, then I have $10 million, which is not the case. Generally by then you would only have less than $500,000 or only $300,000 because dilution is happening as the company raises more and more money. And finally, the real question that you have to ask yourself is, why should a startup take money from you? What do you bring to the table so that a startup should take money from you? Because the best founders generally know that they have some value. And hence they want to take money from people who can contribute something more than money. It could be industry expertise, it could be connections to your friends, it could be, you have an entrepreneurial experience. Whatever it is, you should think about, why should a startup take money from you rather than only thinking about which startup do I want to invest in. And the reason this is also important is because, you might have three startups coming to take money from you, and you might think, un teenon mein se ye acha hai, and let me put money in this. But it is possible that there are 100 other startups who are actually not coming to you, and all 100 are better than the person who has come to you, right? So always keep that in mind, because the more you can add value, the better startups will come to you, and better are your chances of success. So this is, I think, the summary of what we know.
And
I think
finally, uh, to add to this, right? Please don't invest in a FOMO. Like Harpreet mentioned, there are a couple of startups which we missed out on, right? Well, that will happen. That is bound to happen. You will not be evaluating all the startups to the right extent. There are some startups which you'll miss out on. There are some startups which you will be lucky to get on board with. Don't worry about it. Don't just invest because you believe if I don't invest, I'll lose out. Right? That is the worst reason to invest. Right? And if you don't have a lot of time to invest and evaluate a startup, right, then go with the syndicate model. Right? That is much better than you trying to evaluate and keep asking data from founders and all.
Okay.
So
Thank you guys. That was
this is the
very
this is
helpful.
the summary. Yeah? This is like, yes, I think this is all that you need to know. But generally, आदमी पैसे खो के ही सीखता है थोड़ा. So that is how you really learn.
Okay. So before we take some serious questions and questions from audience, I'll urge all the audience, if they have any questions, you can put in chat and I'll ask those questions. I'll ask something on a lighter note. आप लोगों ने 10 साल कॉलेज के पास आउट होके लगभग 10-15 सालों में कंपनी खड़ी करी, बेच दी, विभोरे फ्लाइंग सीख रहे हैं, आपने बड़ी बड़ी चोटियां मतलब माउंटेन्स क्लाइंबिंग करी है, बुक लिख ली है विच इज अमेजॉन बेस्ट सेलर. कैसे इतना सब, यू हैव लाइक 50 आवर्स इन अ डे, कैसे करते हो आप?
Yeah, it only takes 13 years. Yeah, that is the answer to it. Like,
Okay.
10 साल एक कंपनी चलाई और कुछ नहीं किया जिंदगी में. बीवी गुस्सा है, माँ गुस्सा है, पेरेंट गुस्सा है, कि तुम 10 साल क्या कर रहे थे. So 10 years they actually ran the company and did nothing else apart from taking 1 yearly break. So the company was everything. And after that, I'm saying genuinely, I'm just saying it is about breaking time. And after that, you spent 1 year in writing a book, spent a year in mountaineering, and soon you realize कि 2005 में तुम कॉलेज से निकले थे और 2021 आ गए.
By the way, guys, if you haven't read the book, Harpreet really turned himself around, became done wonderful mountaineering, and has lost a ginormous amount of weight.
Thank you for calling me fat earlier, Mohit.
Sir, fat show can call a fat show fat. That's allowed. That's legal.
Right.
I was 120, remember? Maybe
Yes. I think now you should write a book.
Okay,
Nice.
so I'll take up few questions from audience as well as some of questions which I have written. So first thing wanted to ask, like एंजल इन्वेस्टिंग किन लोगों के लिए? जैसे आप लोगों ने कंपनी बनाई, बेच दी, नाउ यू हैव मिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स, तो इज इट लाइक जिनके पास बहुत मिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स है वो एंजल इन्वेस्टिंग कर सकते हैं? व्हाट इज द मिनिमम टिकट साइज? हाउ कम, छोटा से छोटा कौन शुरू कर सकता है, वैसा बताइए.
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think already answered that one in your slide. I think if you go through a syndicate, yeah, in general, see, angel investment is just an investment, right? If a founder is ready to take 25,000 rupees, you can invest for 25,000 rupees, right? Syndicates would have some minimum marker of 1 lakh rupees odd, right? So it's not about the minimum ticket size, like a government policy. It's more about you are comfortable with and what founder is okay taking from you.
Correct. So 1 lakh मान लो लगता है, और the key important part is how much money are you willing to lose. So it doesn't matter how much money you have. The point is how much money are you willing to lose. I think in my view, angel investing is an expensive hobby. And that is the summary of it. Take it as a hobby. If you take it as a money-making machine, I'm saying that is not going to work.
Okay. So for an initial angel investor, is it better to find those companies on his own, or it is better कि कोई syndicate में जाए? Again, on the syndicate, can you give us some idea क्या, like what sort of syndicates are available? उसमें किस तरह से उनको deals मिलती है? How should they approach those deals?
So one, to answer the syndicate question, just go to these platforms, go to Let's Venture, go to Angel List. Subscribe to their newsletter. That is the easiest way to find it out for yourself. आप 1 minute में सारे समझ जाओगे. There is no problem in it. Yeah. But I'm saying essentially you will see that every day deals come. Let's say Vibhore and I are doing a deal, a mailer will come, or you can go follow us there on Angel List, and it will say, Harpreet and Vibhore are investing in this company. They are investing so much money. The company is raising so much money. This much money is left. Do you want to invest? The minimum amount you can invest is this much. right? And you can, if you are interested, you can click and invest. Right now, how do you choose where to invest? Because वहाँ भी बहुत सारी deals हो रही होंगी. No, I'm saying this depends. You could invest in a sector that you understand. You could invest in a person you trust. Right. The one thing I would want you to remember is that it is possible with, let's say Vibhore and I might do 20 deals in a year. And it is, how do I put this? That I am doing that. Don't fully let go of your mind and put trust on the other person's judgment. Okay, Harpreet और Vibhore कर रहे हैं तो ठीक ही कर रहे होंगे. Let's put money. Right? I'm saying use some of your own judgment before putting your money in a company. And you can do it on your own if you have access to startups.
Okay. So, got it. I'll take up some audience's questions, and Anirudh, if it would be great if you can show those on screen also. So Vishal is asking, sir, how do you analyze the startup company? So is there a checkpoint, a list which you see कि ये 10 चीजें तो होनी चाहिए to filter those companies out?
Yeah, you can create a checklist, but ultimately you want to back a good founder. That's about it. You want to back a founder who you think can make a company succeed. My benchmark is, if this founder tomorrow came and offered me a job, would I want to work with this founder? That is my benchmark for investing in a founder. Yeah. Now, some markets I understand, some markets I don't understand. Where I understand the market, I want to see whether the entrepreneur is understanding what he's doing or not. Otherwise, I let it be and I just bet on the person. Yeah. But if you try to create a checklist, okay, ये 10 point कर दिए तो ठीक हो जाएगा, वो नहीं होगा. I'm saying you have to understand, and the name of this show is Art of Angel Investing, because this is not a science. It is possible you have not angel invested, but you are better angel investors than Vibhore and I are, because आपको आदमी की परख है. अगर आदमी की परख है, then you are a good angel investor.
Right. And I would typically in general focus on sectors which I know, right? If I know the sector or if I know the industry, and I like that industry in general, then it's easier to evaluate what the founder is saying, right? If I don't understand, let's say textile industry, right? It's really hard for me to actually understand if the founder is saying or making logical sense, right? So I would typically go for industries where I understand or I feel excited about. And that's about it.
Okay. Next question is regarding exit. If Vibhore can take this, what are means of exit for an angel investor? Is it acquisition? Is it when public, some other investor buys their stake, and how that process goes?
Yeah, in general, if you are raising the next round or if the startup is raising the next round, right, he can probably find you a way to exit, right? You can reach out to the founder saying that I need money out, and probably in the next round, he can find someone to do a secondary or buy your stake out. There is a possibility that he can find another angel to take your stake at the current market valuation. But typically, the exit happens when a bigger round is happening and the investor or bigger investor, VC investor, wants smaller players to be out, because it's hard to manage them on a cap table. So generally buy them out, and it's typically cheaper than the fresh equity being infused.
Okay.
Yours?
I'm just reading some questions. So the one question is regarding these syndicates. Are on these syndicates their entire business idea, pitch, and everything is mentioned? And do we have to decide on only those basis, or we can actually talk to founders as well?
Yeah. So actually, these generally the business idea and the deck and everything is mentioned. And generally, all these syndicates, Let's Venture definitely organizes a pitch day where a founder comes and talks about the investment also, and you can join that and then decide. You can also ask questions to the founder. Angel list may, it depends. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen, depending on how fast the deal is moving. For example, in most of my deals, that doesn't happen. That the founder comes and talks to everybody.
Okay. One more question. I guess it's a common question of very first time investors. What if the company runs away? What if it's all fake, fraud? How do you verify? How do you check what's behind this? So there are obviously some sort of these kind of questions come. So from the legal angle, what things you check?
Yeah, legal angle may basically, one is, look, if you are earlier, if you are leading the round, right, then you need to check all this. Let's say you're investing with Let's Venture or Angel List or through another angel who generally regularly invests, then ये सब आपको check करना पड़ेगा ही नहीं, because somebody else is taking care of it. Let's Venture is actually checking all this. Angel List is checking all this, right? I am checking all this. Yeah. But if you are investing, right, then I'm saying you have to ensure there's a company जिसमें आप पैसा डाल सको, right? And they have all the things that are required to run the company, whatever the legal compliance are, and these legal compliance I'm not mentioning because they are different for different sectors sometimes. Yeah. The other thing that you have to keep in mind, and we used to check earlier, was the background check. That we would want to see कि founder कहाँ से है. For example, अगर वो founder एक अच्छे college से है, then very rare chance कि वो पैसा लेके भाग जाएगा. No, because he also has to do this for his entire life. So I'm saying it, for example, it's very unlikely for somebody from NIT, IIT, or a college name that you've ever heard of to actually run away with your money. I have never heard of that. I've heard of one case where actually some of the best angels in the country invested in a company. The person actually, was running a pet care company. Okay. He said it's a pet care company. He actually organized a demo. They went to see it on that day, when they went, and he was a dog walking company. Yeah. And on the day people went to see, there were 20 dog walkers, all wearing branded shirts and doing dog walking. And, there was some branded product. They went to the office. There were 30, 40 people in the office. And they invested the money, about 1 crore or 2 crore, I think, at that point in time. And in 15 days, they went to the office. There was nobody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? And basically, he had siphoned off all the money in another company that he had, which was a BPO that the person used to run. And, they could not get the money back, or could get a very few amount of the money back by giving legal threat. So this is one case that I've heard of, of this sort.
But it's rare.
Sorry?
It's rare. You said that. It's very rare.
Yeah,
but it's rare in our scenario, in our circle, right? Because we come through a lot of reference, right? But understand, registering a company or private limited company is a cost of $4,000. That's all it takes to register a private limited company. So the best lawyers would not be able to find a thing which is wrong in the company, right? So you're actually betting on the people you're talking to. If you don't have any way of checking the background of people or verifying anything, then it can be a con, right? And that is why we say angel investment is very, very risky. Hence, you should go with trusted syndicate. Even in syndicate, you have to go with trusted ones, right? And I've heard stories of syndicates being like 50, 80 years old and doing fraud upon these schemes. So it's a risky game to be played.
Okay.
I just want to add one thing, to what Vibhore said, is that I think everything on Let's Venture or Angel List is mostly fine.
Yeah.
Right. I'm saying because, there might be some syndicates like that, but essentially on Let's Venture, Angel List, and, mostly it is fine, and you don't need to worry a lot.
Sure. And you can actually search it up. IAN and all of the networks are really good, right? And they've been in the system for a long time, and they're being run by some of the biggest VCs you can think of.
Okay. Kush Mishra is asking, most syndicates or investment platforms requires a POA. Is it safe to give?
So I'm saying, actually, मैं तो startup को बोलता हूँ, मेरे से please POA ले लो. Please don't bug me for signatures. Because if you are an investor, you are an equity holder, you have to sign. Agar annual report nikla, they are doing something else, getting something else, you have to keep signing. And I don't want to sign. So I give a POA which lets them, which ensure the startup doesn't need my signature unless they are selling my shares.
Okay.
So I don't want to be involved in any of these execution legal related things unless my shares are being sold. I don't want to give a POA to anybody else for selling my shares. Apart from that, I personally believe POAs are okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. One question, you have sold your companies as well. So on from the both side, does it require any sort of registration that I am an angel investor, I am actually investing in company, not giving them some sort of loan or something, or is there a minimum cap of your network or ITR which is required to be
Not
an
in
angel
India.
investor?
In US, I don't think in India it is required. I think in US it is required.
Okay. And what is the taxation part? In a brief, what is the taxation part once you take this exit? Is it like long-term capital gain, short-term capital gain? How it is treated?
Vibhore is the best guy. He's running a fintech.
Right. Yes, in general, a startup, when you're investing, a startup should be registered into Startup India program, which is being run by the government, right? That makes sure that you can invest and the income tax will not come after you for taxation, right? This is when you're investing, right? After that, the exit is like unlisted entity, right? So after 3 years, it's a long-term capital gain, right? So if you hold it for 3 years or more, it's a long-term capital gain. If you hold it for lower, then it's income tax, short-term capital gain, taxed at whatever tax bracket you are at.
Okay. I guess this is the last audience question. And so they are asking like, what is the probability of getting the money back? So that means you said that it's difficult to get your money back. So should I start angel investing only when I know that, okay, I can invest in at least 10 companies or 15 companies so that there's a probability that I get at least return in 1 or 2 or 3 of them? Or I can start with even 1, 2, 3 companies as well.
What's the probability of getting company is not going to work in future? The probability that the company you invest in won't work is very, very high. That's why it is a startup. That's why they are taking money from you rather than from somebody else. So there is a high chance that you will lose your money. And that is how angel investment is, right? So I think the thing you should figure out about is what is the capital that you're willing to lose, you know? And like I said earlier, I think angel investment is an expensive hobby, you know, and that is how you should look at it. And you should think about what your strengths are. And with your strengths, how can you find the right startup to invest in, right? Keeping your strengths in mind, or the right syndicates to invest with. That is how I think you should think about it. At the same time, this is the negative view. The positive view is India is going to grow, right? Fintech is going to boom, edtech is going to boom, average GDP is going to go up, average per capita income is going to go up. We're going to become like China. This is everybody believes where everything is heading. There's more internet, mobile penetration. Everybody's coming online. Inflation is happening. People are spending more, saving less. People are moving away from gold. And whatnot. So it is possible in the next 10 years, a lot of big companies will get made. Right. Vibhore and I personally don't invest to make money from angel investment. We invest because we like the experience of working with an entrepreneur. We like the experience of knowing different sectors. We educate ourselves. We learn so much. वरना यार हम बूढ़े हो जाएंगे ना. बस सफेद बाल आना शुरू हो गए वैसे भी. Now we'll get old if we don't stay in the game. And this helps us know various sectors that we will never learn ourselves. That is the reason we invest, and we believe that the money we put in is the cost of learning. MBA करने के लिए भी तो पैसे देते हैं, तो ये करने के लिए भी पैसे दे सकते हैं. इस केस में इक्विटी मिलती है और पैसे वापस आने का भी चांस होता है.
Good analogy. Okay, so we have some time, and now I'll take some questions which is maybe not directly related to angel investing. It's from your book or from your entrepreneur's journey. तो एक क्वेश्चन है विच इज अबाउट योर पर्सनल इन्वेस्टमेंट. तो आपने बुक में भी मेंशन किया है कि इट्स गुड टू नो कि कैसे मनी को मैनेज करना है. एक बार आपके पास बहुत सारा पैसा आ गया तो यू सेड दैट कि यू वुड लाइक टू नो कि कैसे उसको मैनेज करना है. तो समवन इज आस्किंग हाउ डाइवर्स इज योर पोर्टफोलियो एंड वेयर अदर देन एंजल यू इन्वेस्ट योर मनी.
Vibhore and I have different portfolios. Vibhore and I invested quite differently actually. Yeah, very differently. And Vibhore, let me go first, and then Vibhore can share what he wants to share. About 25% of my net worth, 25. Yeah, about 20% of my net worth is in angel investments.
Okay.
About 5% is in bitcoins. About 10%, about 15% is in mutual funds. Okay. Equity. So about 40% is in risky capital. 25%, 5%, 10%. Around that 40% is in the is a risky capital bucket.
Hmm.
Around 40% is in real estate, and about 20% is in debt funds. To debt funds, yeah, FDs. 20% money I have available with me whenever I want it. 40% is locked in real estate. We have to do some of that because if you sell a company, you get capital gains. And then if you buy a house, that capital gains is exempt. And the rest 40% is invested in risky baskets like Bitcoin or a startup or a equity.
Okay. Vibhore? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the only difference is on the real estate part. My 50% of 55% would be in real estate, probably 10% in bitcoins and others. I think 15% is all I've done till now in angel investment. So the risky part, which is bitcoins or angel investment or other funky stuff, is like 25% of my total wealth. Rest everything is either debt or real estate or something which is like a backup for me to run my own venture.
Okay.
I have a question. You both have mentioned this during this presentation also and through your book also, that one of the most key time that you have spent is mostly in either hiring good people or looking for good, relentless entrepreneurs to invest in. So one thing I would request you to please tell is, what do you look for when you want to do this kind of a thing?
You mean looking for a good founder to invest in?
How do you pick a good founder or how do you pick a good hire? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the two different questions because hiring वाले बंदे को आप fire कर सकते हो. Founder में पैसा डाल दिया तो थोड़ा difficult हो जाता है. Once you put money in a startup, वो दमा दे. Yeah. So these are two different questions. I'm saying on just to quickly.
उसका भी पैसा डूब गया.
Sorry.
जिसको एक साल बैड हायर को भी पैसा दे दिया, वो पैसा डूब गया, वो वापस नहीं आएगा.
I agree, but I'm saying then the learning there is not to let somebody be with you for a year. Yeah. And figure it out earlier. So I'm saying, on the hiring part, we're digressing, but I'm saying in early stages of hiring, if you're hiring a fresher, you hire somebody who has done at least one thing well in his life. कोई भी एक चीज ठीक से की है उसको हायर कर लो. Doesn't matter study किया, doesn't matter karate किया, doesn't matter football किया. It just means the person, if he puts his minds to it, can do something well. So you can hire. In middle managers, the way to hire is to take background references because middle management तक सब समझ जाते हैं कि कैसे interview को clear करना है और test को clear करना है. The only way to check is background references. In senior hires, you have to hire somebody who you can spend a lot of time with, go out for a beer with, whose family you like, who likes your family. All of these things come into play. This is the summary. Now to find somebody who's a good person to invest in a company is like it's an art. I don't have an answer, but if you can, the best, I can tell you, in my friend circle, the best investments they have made have either been by luck or because they invested in a person they knew was good. It has not happened because they were great analytical thinkers and they analyzed and they ended up investing in a good company.
Yeah.
Vibhore, your thoughts?
It's same in hiring. It's very critical that you hire for skill. I typically focus a lot on the skill set which I need for that role. But if I have to decide between the same kind of skill people, then I'll put the culture part on top of it. Right? I'm saying I should be able to go for a drink with him. I should be able to enjoy talking to him. Right? Things like those. Right? So cultural part comes on top of the skill set, but it doesn't mean that I can hire someone who doesn't have the skill and all good and well is the team. So fundamentally, what I look for, I typically look for the same thing in senior, middle, and all the stuff, right? I look for a person I can gel well with. I look for a person who has the skill set which I need, right? And I need a person who can actually run very, very fast. I don't like to hire people which are content with what they have, right? Typically, they are just okay with what they have. Then I don't want to hire them. I want someone who's very hungry, right? So that I don't have a discussion of weekend, Saturdays, night. That is where we go into, right? Of very ambitious and person who is able to slog. On the founder front, I think you hardly get an hour or two. Yeah, that's the maximum amount you would get when you're investing, like angel investment, right? You can have probably 2 or 3 calls of half an hour each. have some data points to look at, and that is very, very low. Person can be on his best behavior. Person can learn from, like, he can go and talk to Harpreet, and he would know like 50% of the questions I would go and ask, right? And for Harpreet discussion, he would know what angle I would be looking at, right? And can fake all the answers, right? So it's difficult to judge a person when you're looking at that one, right? So it's more of a gut feel. It's more of what he's saying makes sense, and it's more of thinking on your feet. And if you can actually find the reference, that is awesome.
ओके यू हैव आपने फाउंडर्स के सिलेक्शन पे इतना ज्यादा फोकस किया है, दोनों ने बोला कि एंड इवन इन योर डेक आल्सो यू सेड दैट कि कंपनीज फेल होती है, उसका फर्स्ट रीजन यू सेड दैट कि फाउंडर्स में लड़ाई हो जाती है. So how did you find each other as a founder and why did you choose कि मुझे हैप्पी के साथ काम करना है या मुझे विभोरे के साथ कंपनी बनाने में काम करना है? So from your personal experience we will also learn कि भाई कैसे फाउंडर चूज करना चाहिए आपको.
किताब में लिखा है, बाय द वे, किताब पढ़ लो, ठीक है?
किताब तो अब ले ही लेना, बट अभी
but essentially, you know, yeah, I think the key here was, and Vibhore can add, is we were roommates in college and जितनी लड़ाई होनी थी ना वहां पे हो गई. मैं पैदल जाता था, इसके पास बाइक थी, मैं इसकी बाइक गिरा दिया, सब हेडलाइट वेडलाइट टूट गई, ठीक है? इसने गाली नहीं दी तो मैंने कहा चलो ठीक है, लौंडा ठीक लग रहा है, so things like these, यार. I'm saying you have fights over time and you get over them and you know that we can work together, and if you do a startup with somebody else you will have fights. It is because conflict of वो तो होगा ही. That said, our journey has been hard. It is not as if 10 साल हम एकदम पक्के दोस्त बने रहे. There were times in between when we really fought and we didn't know how to correct it. But the only way to correct it is to talk to each other, and that is what helped us. We knew we could talk to each other, and I think that is what helped.
So at no point in time we said,
did you look for complementary skill sets के यार मेरे पास ये चीज है, विभोरे के पास ये चीज है, या वो सब नहीं?
नहीं, definitely. I'm saying, sorry, and Vibhore maybe was going to mention it. Okay, I am the guy who, Vibhore is the guy who can make a product. I can go sell a product. And I think those complementary skills are very important. 100%.
And I think more than that, I think the point which was important here was that we actually knew each other's skill set, right? And we trusted that part. At no point in time, it was that I committed something or Harpreet committed something and we did not honor that with the external party, right? And we had enough fights. Like, we would not talk for 2-3 days, then we will get up, go to a pub, have beer, talk it over, and next morning we'll be okay in the office, right? And we didn't hide those fights anywhere, right? We were very, very open in discussing those.
Okay.
Rishabh, if you remember, before this, just 5 minutes before this webinar, when I was discussing about both of these. Okay, you have one guy who's the straight shooter. Okay, I will not name who it is. You know it. Okay, one guy who knows how to bring people together. The straight shooter is highly skilled. Okay, but at the other end of the spectrum, the guy who brings everybody together is the one who makes everybody happy.
I'm happy.
Okay. So before we conclude, I'll ask the last question. How was your experience of writing this book, and when is the next book coming? I mean,
yeah, 10 साल लगे पहली बुक आने के लिए, so maybe hopefully 10 years, maybe lesser if we have a great experience, some great experience to write about before that. But book writing was quite amazing, yaar. It actually took about 6 weeks to write the book. So
just 6 weeks, right?
6 weeks, but from there, editing, cover, talking to the publisher, all of that, took about 6-8 months. But the writing of the book, the book was fatter when it was written, so it was about 6 weeks. The great part, I think, for Vibhore and me in writing the book is that it helped us put those 10 years in words, lock it in a book, and move on to doing whatever we wanted to do next. बहुत सारे thought दिमाग में रह आते, so we were able to make it concise, hopefully, make a book which is helpful to others, and also it was helpful for us to put our mind down on a page.
Yeah, and thankfully Google gave us like a very big mailbox, right? So we had so many mails in the past, and we were surprised that we actually wrote those mails, right? And they captured a lot of things, right? So it was really fun reading those mails again and realizing that, yeah, we went through this phase as well.
Wow. So wonderful, guys. And जो भी लोग देख रहे हैं, I'm putting the link of this book in the description and the comment box. You can check it out. Must buy. मैं भी आज रात को complete करने की कोशिश करूंगा. And before we conclude, I'll like to add Vivek to the stream. So Vivek, Anirudh, if please add Vivek. Yes, thank you. So Vivek, हमारे जयपुर chapter के star हैं, and I guess you all are batchmates. So
Mr. Lora.
Vivek, any concluding notes?
Thank you, Risha, for getting me on the screen. Happy, Vibhore. Guys, you've done a phenomenal job. And kuch din pehle I read their book, and the first thing I did was I messaged Happy Singh, "Yaar, it's really..." So what inspired me was the journey and not the end. The journey was phenomenal, and there is so much to learn. And I think that book kind of talks for everyone. Thanks for sharing your views, and thanks for telling everyone that, the journey is much more memorable than the end. So you've shared that journey, and what you've done is something which is great for all these budding entrepreneurs to realize. And there's so many small learnings that you put in. What you've also done is you've put that perspective for the investor also. So जो investor देखता है, करता है, कराता है. So a little bit about me is I am also a very active angel investor, but basically मेरा domain is limited to Rajasthan only because यार यहाँ रहता हूँ तो यहीं के startups आते हैं मेरे पास. But by the way, all these fruitful result वाले startup जो है ना वो सब बॉम्बे के ही हैं. So I've realized राजस्थान के startups को कोई एक अच्छा platform चाहिए, and you guys should I will probably pass them on to you to at least evaluate and take them to next level.
Sure.
And there are like so many talented people here in Rajasthan also, which probably need mentoring from people like you both, because you have had that journey and you've already shared it. And thanks for sharing it with all of us. Also, मैं यहाँ पे with a few other angels, जैसे तुम कहते हो ना वो हैप्पी ने बोल दिया और सबने इन्वेस्ट कर दिया, यहाँ पे आई हैव आल्सो गॉट दैट फीड ऑफ पीपल, यार विवेक ने बोल दिया और इन्वेस्ट कर दो. बट आई एम नॉट वेरी हैप्पी विद दैट, क्योंकि और लोग चाहिए जो हमारे को गाइड करें और should help that startup more than invest. Money is not everything. Money is next to everything, but वो जो everything वाला part missing is probably people like you who are sitting in bigger cities and who can help startups here in Rajasthan. So, and one thing that I really liked about is angel investing करो, MBA करने के भी तो पैसे देते हो यार, मतलब so pay for that MBA. And this learning I think is much more than what an MBA would give you, because ये hands-on experience है. And it gives me a great pleasure to mentor all these startups. And also on the way, I learned so many things which I apply into my own business. So startups are actually teachers for me also. You're right. Invest उतना ही करो जितना hurt ना करे. ज़्यादा करते हो तकलीफ देता है. But I think what you have put across in this webinar and also in your presentation will be an inspiration. So thank you guys for taking out time. मतलब थैंक यू बोलते हुए अजीब लग रहा है अपने बैचमेट्स को.
मैं बोल देता हूँ.
दो तीन बार बुलवाना चाहिए.
तो मैं सीनियर्स को बोल सकता हूँ. तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ऑल 4 of my seniors for taking out time and sharing so much information, so much knowledge, and some happy moments as well. Thank you so much. Mohit, anything you want to add?
नहीं, I just wanted to nothing I want to add. In fact, मैं आप लोग अभी तो अपन थैंक यू नोट हो गया, बट मेरा एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन आ गया. You all 3 of you are angel investors. I am the only person who's not an angel investor here. How do you juggle so many baskets? And I realize nobody asked this question.
इसका कोई आंसर नहीं है. अगर आप करना चाहते हो तो आप कर लोगे.
Yeah, it's just a phone call. It doesn't take a lot of time. In general, you're getting phone calls, you're getting friends' phone calls. Similarly, the founder will call you, ask you some question once in a while, and that is okay. Not a much of work.
फाउंडर तो खुद ही डरते हैं यार. हमने भी पैसा उठाया, बहुत डर लगता है इन्वेस्टर्स से. उनको कॉल नहीं करते. चलो, ओके गाइस, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग. जो भी ऑडियंस जुड़े हैं सभी लोगों को बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जुड़ने के लिए. थैंक यू सो मच.
ऑल द बेस्ट.